All right, so Trump pulled a fast one on me. He is doing a impromptu press briefing at Mar-a-Lago. So let's go ahead and pull him up and see what he has to say on this one. He did start already, so I'm going to fast forward. Let me see.
Obviously shorter, so.
There we go.
Testing sound one more time.
There we go. Yeah, fix your mic. Come on. And it should be... Where is he?
Point.
Oh. All right, so should be coming out. 10 seconds.
Things coming up.
There
You
we
could
go.
end up in
All
a
right.
depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that, and we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against the somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided
Kamala.
to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen.
It's terrible.
She picked a radical left man that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's
So I believe he's going to be taking questions, which is always our favorite part of these.
not, she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading. And
Every poll that I've seen so far shows that they're about even, and that happened within a week of like Kamala coming out and starting her campaign, which obviously seems questionable.
leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible culture that is developing, a culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes,
There you go. We want to buy a house. That's the one thing that I want.
housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history, in the world history. I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people, and it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people.
Kamala came out at her rally yesterday and she said if she is elected president on day one, she is going to bring down inflation. And everybody in the crowd just kind of looked at her like, you're in office now. Why, if you had the power to bring this down, why didn't you do it the last 4 years?
And you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything. And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates.
Hey, Eddie, yeah, I'm officially moved, settled into Florida now.
And those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily, I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from...
Kind of like 2016, Elizabeth Warren said that she had a way to bring down the 22 a day rate, but she wouldn't enact until she was elected. Lost my possible vote that day. Yeah, that's shitty. You have a solution for veterans and you're just, only if I'm in power.
Prisons, from jails, from mental...
These debates that he's talking about, though, they're supposed to be scheduled for the 10th. However, Kamala didn't agree to the date because it's like Fox News host or moderators. So she wasn't into it. She was kind of backing out and getting scared.
Institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums. That's it's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South.
I'm so ready for these debates. If they could just agree on a date and just do it, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a live stream for sure, just to see what the hell happens with that.
America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country. We have a vice president who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president. And because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely, but she was the first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things. She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know.
Isn't that kind of weird, though? I'll give Trump that. Like, she did call him a racist in those debates. She pretty much labeled him a racist old white man, and then you pick that as your VP?
He's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. and they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So that, I mean, they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something. But to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad...
In Biden's defense, he narrowed his VP choice down quite a bit, but when he said he'd only pick a black woman, well, I don't agree with that. If you're... I'm not even going to go there.
Things in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. And he had a rough debate, but that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did, what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said, border czar, oh, she loved that name. She loved that name. But she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem. That was not really going to the border. So essentially, she never went to the border. And if you listen to Tom Holman, if you listen to the great border people, Brandon Judd from Border Patrol, if you listen to Paul, I mean, so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in. And our country cannot sustain it. Our country is going down because of this, because of incompetent people.
Where has she been? What has she done? And even when we watch her rallies, we can't get any of her policies. If you go to Trump's website, at least he has what he wants to do and actually has his plan of action if he's elected. If you go to Kamala's website, they don't have anything on there. How are you supposed to vote for her if she doesn't have a plan? Especially this close to the election.
So I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing. I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
There we go. Questions. Let's do it. My favorite part.
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all.
Give him a mic.
It's the same policies. Open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. But as the DA, she destroyed San Francisco. A friend of mine, Bob Tisch, all know the Tisch family. He was in many cities with companies. He said the greatest city in the country is San Francisco. That was about 20 years ago. And he passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened? He thought it was the best.
From what I've seen online and YouTube, she's holding her policies close because she doesn't want to upset people. It's get me in first, then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It's because the policies that she has, she could do now. She's already in. So a lot of the things that she's going to say, people are just going to look at her and be like, you've been in for 4 years. Why haven't you done these things? And then the extreme policies that you're talking about, yeah, of course, people are going to hear that and they don't want to vote for her at all. Just like when they were talking about taking away guns, when they brought out her VP, that immediately turned me off. And they try to sell it as kids, being protected, which sure, I'm with you. There needs to be a solution there. But her solution is literally like, we're going to walk around a neighborhood with police and take your guns, which is not going to work. It's just, that's stupid to even be having that conversation.
Best city in the country. He had divisions there, Lowe's. And he would be looking down in horror now when he sees she destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge. And all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he, appointed by him and appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things, and she should not be in a position. Because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's going to be a failure the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please. How about you?
They still didn't give him a mic. We can't hear the question.
You have to speak louder.
Maybe if I turn captions on, we can hear it.
Yeah.
Or they'll put it on there. Oh, there isn't any captions. Right.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
He's always had the white male vote.
No, I don't know. All we're
Let's not
doing is
pretend.
giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
No, can't hear anything.
Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at, and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate.
Yes.
So CBS will do vice presidential. And I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Say it.
That's like 4 debates right there.
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday, 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size, and no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm.
They need to do non-mainstream media debates and more town halls. They absolutely should. They should do them on X.
So, the Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. Zero chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity and strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed. And we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation, because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that. And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people. In South Carolina, I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me. But she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, oh, the enthusiasm's back. No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of. That's where the enthusiasm is.
This is so stupid they don't have a mic. So unprepared.
I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected. Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it, but if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now, in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly, for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get
At least he showed up on time. That's right. We didn't spend an hour waiting.
prepared. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia's a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen. And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, and we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot. Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right?
Talking about Biden.
If you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he said. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the...
Biden said that if if the Democrats didn't win, there was going to be riots. And then he tried to switch it and say, no, I meant if Trump doesn't win, there's going to be riots.
Debate. And he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite.
Right.
He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all, okay? What a stupid question this is.
Oh, why can't we hear the stupid question?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through, and I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group. We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out. Actually, I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. But not even for me. I'm trying to help
switch
when
to
I go
Fox
out to Wyoming
and see if they actually have the reporters' questions. I want to hear what they're actually saying.
I don't believe in the exceptions. I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue. But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think and a lot of them are changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small, I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done is I've done whatever.
Riots, I believe you mean peaceful protests, kind sir. Exactly. Peaceful.
Every Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, you know, when you think about the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born, we will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word progressive. You know, they want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate. We've brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this, assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your
heart. Yeah, I completely disagree with him there. I think that's probably Kamala's leading issue. And if she keeps pressing with that as women's rights, that's probably going to get her a lot of votes.
Heart, and you should follow your heart. But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you. About who?
About the assassination attempt.
Yes.
Did the fact that somebody used an AR-15 gun at all change your impression of people's access to that weapon?
No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%.
The abortion issue will never be resolved. It's too big of a voter getter. Year after year, that's all they promise to fix. Yeah, I'm with you there, but if she does promise to do something about it, that'll definitely get her a lot of votes.
And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know that.
I used to live in Illinois, and guns are everywhere.
They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. If you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months, and then we had the disaster of the lift, where people were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center. I mean, yeah, terrible.
It's pretty bad.
But now our country has to be respected again. Please. Go ahead, please.
There was some reporting, I believe, in the New York Times that Kamala Harris said she might be open to the idea of weapons.
Yeah, still no mic.
I'd be against that. That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad to Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy. I gave them no Iran deal. The problem is they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election with Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We would have gotten along with Iran. I was looking forward to it. I was fine with Iran. We hit them a couple of times pretty hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her new friend, who I don't know if she knew him before.
Isn't Kamala's husband Jewish or Jewish descent? I think I might have heard something about that. He might be.
But I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined. Go ahead, please. They have. The FBI came to see me about the shooter. I think they've done a very good job. And I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please.
There's been some discussion around Vice President Harris's relationship with Willie Brown,
Yeah.
former mayor of San Francisco, and how that might have intersected with her career trajectory. So I'm just wondering if you followed that discussion at all and had any thoughts.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Do you believe Vice President Harris would certify your election victory if you win?
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
On what?
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
Mr. President, your tax cuts from your administration will be coming up, fairly soon and potentially expiring. I wanted to ask you specifically about the tax code favoring parents versus people who don't have children. There are a number of tax breaks.
Yeah. Oh, we gave tremendous for child care and all of that. No, our tax cuts, which are the biggest in history, our tax cuts are coming due, as you know, very soon. And if the Democrats don't renew them or make it impossible to renew because it's pretty close in terms of vote, if they don't renew them, it's the equivalent of having a 4 times tax increase from what you have right now, and it'll destroy the economy. I think they're under tremendous pressure to do it. I've never seen, all my life I grow up and I watch politics, and I used to be on the other side of politics first, and then I run for office. But in all the years of studying politics, I've never seen people get elected by saying, we're going to give you a tax increase. These guys get up, think of it. We're going to give you no security. We're going to give you a weak military. We're going to give you no walls, no borders, no anything.
Well, she's campaigning on corporations not getting tax cuts, not the people. Now, if that actually is implemented correctly, I don't know about that.
And all these things they're doing, I mean, the transgender became such a big thing, but they do all of these things, but they always say, we're going to give you a tax increase. I never heard anybody campaign on a tax increase. A politician has always said, I will cut taxes. I'll give you one example. Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing.
Do you believe that the imprisonment of Steve Bannon was politically motivated?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sure. Because other people have done far bigger things than Steve Bannon. Sure, it's politically motivated. I think it's a horrible thing they did. Look, they've weaponized government against me. Look at the Florida case. It was a totally weaponized case. All of these cases, by the way, the New York cases are totally controlled out of the Department of Justice. They sent their top person to the various places. They went to the AG's office, got that one going. Then he went to the DA's office, got that one going, ran through it. No, this is all politics, and it's a disgrace. Never happened in this country. It's very common that it happens, but not in our country. It happens in banana republics and third world countries, and that's what we're becoming. We have no borders. We have bad voting regulations. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have problems. France learned that lesson. France had all mail-in voting, and they went back to paper ballots, voter identification, voter ID. They went back to a normal system, one-day voting. They don't want to be around, voting for 64 days. And look, the election, I keep talking about November 5th, but the election really starts on September 6th. That's when it starts because it's early voting. We should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship. Please. No, the gentleman in the back.
President, do you support continuation tax credit for EVs?
For who?
For electric vehicles, do you support continuation?
You're going to have to talk louder, sir.
Do you support continuation of tax credits for EVs? And secondly, what sort of political or policy advice does Elon Musk give you?
Elon is a very different kind of a guy. He's a very big believer in the country, but he's very worried about the country. He's very worried about the country. And I don't know if it's good for him politically to have supported me, although I think we have a vast majority of this country does support me.
Probably not.
But Elon, more than almost anybody I know, I mean, he loves this country. He loves the concept of the country. But like me, he says this country is in big trouble. It's in tremendous danger. Okay, please.
Polls suggest overwhelmingly that Americans trust you more than Kamala Harris to fix the U.S. economy.
I like this guy. I like him.
What message do you have to Americans, sir, who are struggling to pay for everyday
Yeah.
groceries, rent?
The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago. Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where
Anytime I leave the house, it's at least $100. It's so ridiculous.
gasoline's gone from $1.87, and we had moments when it was below that, but it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and $7. And they take the strategic national reserves and they take it out, even though it's peanuts compared, it doesn't last long. But they're virtually empty now. We've never had it this low. And he's using that to keep the gasoline prices as low as possible. He's sucked all of the oil out, essentially the gasoline, to keep the price down a little bit, and it's had very little impact. But you know what? We have no strategic national reserves now. He's emptied it. It's almost empty. It's never been this low. And I had it at a good level, and I would have had it more if the Democrats would have approved the deal. You know, I had a deal to buy it at $22 a barrel, and now it's going to be close to 100 pretty soon, my opinion. And the Democrats didn't want to do that, but we bought a lot anyway, and we had it pretty good. And what they've done to the national reserves, the strategic national reserves, is, as you know very well, because you cover it, but what they've done is incredible. They've just, for the sake of getting some votes, for the sake of having gasoline, you know, that's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant for the sake of having gasoline. You know, that's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant to keep a gasoline price down so that somebody can vote for Biden, or in this case, Kamala, who, by the way, is worse than Biden. And she's actually not as smart. Okay? She's actually not as smart. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, please. Okay.
There are other things the federal government could do, not just a ban. Would you direct your FDA, for example, to revoke access to mifepristone? That's one of the things.
Sure, you could do things that would supplement, absolutely. And those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote, and all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. Yeah, but it's there are many things on a humane basis that you can do outside of that, but you also have to give a vote, and the people are going to have to decide. Okay, yes, please. You. On what? No, I think she's actually not as smart as he is. I don't think he's very smart either, by the way. I'm not a big fan of his brain. But I think that she's actually not as smart as he is.
So what do you attribute her rising in the polls as becoming a more competitive race since she's taken over?
Well, she's a woman. She represents certain groups of people. But I will say this. When people find out about her, I think she'll be much less. And I see it right now. I see her going way down in the polls now. Now that people are finding out that she destroyed San Francisco, she destroyed the state of California along with Governor Gavin Newsom. He's been a terrible governor, terrible. But they did it together. And she was early. I mean, she was the first of the prosecutors, really. You know, now you see Philadelphia, you see Los Angeles, you see New York, you see various people that are very bad. But she was the first of the bad prosecutors. She was early. Who? Would you repeat that, please? No, you. Would you repeat her, what she said? You have to speak up. This room is very louder. Do you hear her?
It is refreshing to see a Q&A where the questions have been pre-screened and pre-assigned. Yeah, at least it's actual questions. Even if we can't hear what they're saying at all.
A daily press briefing? Why would I do that? I would give you all the press briefings you want. Look what I'm doing here. But why would I do a daily press? You'd get tired of me very fast. No, but I will give you total access, and you'll have a lot of press briefings, and you'll have...
Yeah, I got you.
From me. Now, are you talking about from me or from a press secretary? Well, yeah, probably they'll do something. If it's not daily, it's going to be a lot. You'll have more than you want. Yeah, please.
President Biden vowed not to pardon his son, Hunter, who is now a convicted felon and facing more felony charges in his upcoming trial for alleged tax evasion. Would you consider granting clemency or a pardon?
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. You know, with Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please.
Well,
we won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get. I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States. And then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country, far beyond the Republican Party, because we're a party of common sense, and I'm a person of common sense. I want to have low taxes. I want to have strong borders. I want to have a strong military so that China and Russia, look, they've allowed China and Russia to do the impossible combined.
Oh, my.
They're natural enemies. They always have been, because China needs more land and Russia has it. They've always been natural enemies, and because of Obama, it started with him, and then Biden, because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, they've now become one force. And then now they're adding Iran to it, and they're adding North Korea to it. Pretty powerful force. This is something that is unthinkable that they allowed to happen.
Thank you for the like.
You're saying that you're not going to change your campaign strategy. You're going to keep going with the issues. Well, what if this so-called honeymoon period doesn't end?
Oh, it's going to end. The honeymoon period's going to end. Look. She's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language.
And then she picked a stolen valor VP,
but
which is
everything
terrible.
She's touched has turned bad. She's incompetent. The reason she's not doing what I do and she's not doing what she should be doing, she won't even do interviews with friendly people because she can't do better than Biden. Now, he had a reason for not doing well, and he was never, 25 years ago, the sharpest or brightest bulb in the ceiling. That I can tell you, okay? He wasn't. But he could do interviews at least. Not lately, he couldn't, perhaps.
It's pretty bad when J.D. Vance is going up to Air Force One to talk to the news reporters that Harris just skipped past.
But she should be doing interviews. She
Not a good
doesn't
look.
want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants open borders. She wants to defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She wants to take away your guns. Anybody that thinks they're not going to come after your guns, you know, when I was president, I totally protected the guns. And I think it's very important. And I know I take some heat sometimes for it, but you have to have safety. You have to have, when the bad guy walks in with a gun, you got to have some way of protecting yourself. And boy, that would be, you would see crime go up at levels that you've never seen. When people say on this side of the house, this house has guns, we will use the guns, they say, let's pass. We'll go someplace else. You have to have them. And for 4 years, and you know, as you know, the NRA endorsed me very powerfully every time I ran, every time. My sons are members, and I guess indirectly I'm a member too. But they gave me the strongest of endorsements, and that's against very strong competition. People that, you know, felt the same way. No, you have to have that right. Our Second Amendment is a very important right, and it has to be protected. Okay, how about you? Go ahead. Yeah. So there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying that if President Trump doesn't win, you're going to have a depression. I happen to agree. I think that's true. Because I know how bad these people are. You know, they like to say that they did this and that. You saw the $7 trillion that they said it was me for $7 trillion. It wasn't me. It was them. They said that I had inflation. They took over 9% inflation. No, I had 1% inflation. I had actually.
Fox News really trying to bring my stream down. Come on, Fox News. Don't be like that.
Actually, no inflation, because if you look at the categories, we had just about no
News.
inflation. But I had a very
If they do
minor,
that, I'm going to switch
I
back to
actually
the
had
other
a
one.
positive inflation. It was a perfect number, because you don't want zero.
Let me bring it
I mean,
up
I'm not
just in
going to give
case.
you a whole course on economics, but you don't want zero. 1%, 1.4% is great. You want a little bit because you don't want to have deflation. Deflation is, in many ways, even worse. I had a perfect number right around the 1% number. It was perfect. And to show you, it stayed there for 2 years. People. And then he did all of the different borrowings that he did. And then he did so many things wrong. Every time he would do it, I'd say, big mistake. And don't forget, they sell hats and they sell stories. Trump was right about everything. I have been right about a lot. Yes, Maggie.
I'm going to switch back to the other one. Just because they're trying to block my stream. And I'm not a big fan of that. Oh, come on. What's going on here? There you go. Right here.
That was serving like 40 years for something that today you wouldn't even be put in jail for. We had very few people let out because I said I really don't want to let people out where they had a lot of violence, where they had killing, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, we didn't do that. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding the Fed, if you win in November, do you want more of a say over the Fed on issues like the interest rate? And do you think that
On defense?
over the Federal Reserve?
Ah,
And do you think
Federal Reserve. Right. Well, look, the Federal Reserve is a very interesting thing, and it's sort of gotten it wrong a lot. And he's tending to be a little bit late on things. He gets a little bit too early and a little bit too late. And, you know, that's very largely it's a gut feeling. I believe it's really a gut feeling. And I used to have it out with him. I had it out with him a couple of times very strongly. I fought him very hard. And, you know, we get along fine. We get along fine. But I feel that the president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful. And I think I have a better instinct than in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman. Yeah.
People going to prison for marijuana.
Yeah.
Harris supports rescheduling marijuana and also says that no one should go to prison for marijuana offense. Do you agree with those positions?
Well, as we legalize it, I start to agree a lot more because, you know, it's being legalized all over the country. Florida has something coming up. I'll be making a statement about that fairly soon. But as we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal.
Agreed.
So I think, obviously,
silly.
there's a lot of sentiment to doing that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to a historically black college. How is she only recently deciding to be black?
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her, and I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really. Whether it's Indian or black, I think it's very disrespectful to both. To me, it doesn't matter. Please, red dress.
One in the assassination, is your ear fully recovered? Is there a scar? Do you have any
Yeah,
damage?
pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top,
On immigration,
a little bit.
an immigration question. You've been running on the idea of mass deportation. You said the biggest in American history is basically what
Yeah.
When Senator Vance has been asked about that, he sort of suggested that really you only need to go after people who've been convicted of crime.
Well, we're starting that, yeah.
So what are you really talking about here? How will you pay for it?
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country because we have no choice. It's not sustainable. And we are going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals. And our local police is going to work with us because they know everything about the people. They know their names. They know everything about them. They know their middle name. They know their numbers. And as you know, the other side is trying. You know, look, for years I wondered, why are they allowing these people to come in at levels like this? It was incredible. And I said two reasons. They're either really stupid, and I don't believe they're stupid, because anybody that can cheat in elections like they cheat is not stupid. Or, in the alternative, they have bad motives or they hate our country. And I used to think they hate our country. But lately I've seen where they're trying to sign these people up to vote. And they have to stop. They cannot let illegal immigrants vote in this upcoming election. All right, one more question.
So he's done about an hour.
Go ahead, one more. Make it a good one, please.
Make it a good one.
Right.
Experts say that the policy could increase the deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work in your view?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people. They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in. We're not going to charge tax to Social Security, the seniors. We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax. Okay?
If sanctuary cities or municipalities are unwilling to cooperate, how do you plan to enforce that?
Thanks for the
We
like.
should not have sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities is a way of protecting criminals, and we should not have sanctuary cities. And if you go to California, and I know it well, I have property out there, great property. If you go to California and you Ask the people of California, do they like the idea of sanctuary cities? They don't like it. They're tired of it. They're tired of crime. They're tired of what's happened to our country. Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
There he is. We did about an hour of questions. Not too bad. Got some applause there. I didn't actually know until about maybe a year ago that they tax Social Security income. So not only are they taking it out of our paychecks now, but then when you go to get it when you're old, they're also taking it out as income to get more tax on your tax. Yeah, that kind of shocked me when I figured that out. But there you go. There's your update from our guy, Trump. Came out there, took some questions. What'd you think, chat? What do you think about that one? We haven't seen Harris do that for quite a while. I don't even think we've seen her do that yet. But with the way Trump is now calling her out for not taking any questions, I think in the future, probably the short future, she's eventually going to set up an interview to come out and take some questions. This is what I'm predicting. I think it's going to come out that she's going to, I don't know, sit down with a journalist or something, but we haven't seen her at all, especially with the way J.D. Vance going out to the Air Force One plane and kind of calling her out right there on the spot. Yeah, I think we're probably going to see more of Harris. She has a pretty busy week this week with her campaign schedule. Someone actually yelled at her. I don't know if you guys saw that on X. I guess somebody was like heckling her in the crowd, and then she did her infamous "I'm speaking" kind of thing, like in her mom voice. People were kind of judging if they liked that or not. And then, of course, yesterday we had the whole stolen valor fiasco with her VP, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I guess people from his former unit were actually coming out and critiquing him on leaving the unit right before he got orders to Iraq. So a lot of interesting stuff going on in politics right now. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. Thank y'all for watching. I'm going to see if there's anything else going on in the news for today, but I don't think there is.